Right, look, quick recap on the last session that we did. As discussed, the arms fire too soon, the hips slide and the extension are in there, but the hips don't return to flexion from 4 to 5. So there's a little bit of a sequencing issue. As a result, the club gets dumped too soon, the radius isn't tight enough at 6, and the path of the club is excessively into out. So plenty of hip slide and plenty of extension, but the hips and the pelvis don't get back into flexion 4 to 5. The act of flexing the hips forward also adds rotation, and as we discussed, it's not necessarily all about hip slide. Sometimes if we're not rotating enough, that's going to have its own issues. You can see there that the belt raises very, very early. The right heel popping up is a sign that we're extending too fast. See clearly the right knee never gets back into flexion, and as a result everything is very shallow. Without sufficient compression on the golf ball. So the feeling is to bring the arms from 4 to 5 down in position by getting the hips and the knee back into flexion. You can see the act of doing that. The hips are still sliding forward, but the act of getting the hips back into flexion is starting to get some rotation in there as well. That's the other thing that I think we miss now and again, is the fact that the hips do still rotate. They've turned on the way back, so they have to re-rotate and then continue to turn all the way through the downswing. So the feeling there is that the flexing forward of the lower body is bringing the arms down from 4 to 5. You can see here as well, as you do that, you're going to go from 4 to 5 by flexing the lower body. Needs a little bit of work on that drill, just tidying it up. You can see that the upper centre drifts forward when you do your rehearsals, but that we can amend that as we go. Then a little pump and then hit. So we've got the hips back into flexion, 4 to 5, knee and hip, and a little pump and a hit. You can see when you do that, P6, like I said, a little bit contrived with the upper body, but P6 is in a much better place with the release point of the club more where you would want it, over the top of the golf ball. So radius tighter, path of the club also much more on plane. You can see here as well, swinging to the top, getting the right knee and the hip back into flexion, 4 to 5, allowing that to bring the arms down. You can see what happens. The act of flexing forward prevents the arms and the club getting too much behind you. So that's like the polar opposite of what you would normally do. Normally you'd be pushing up very quick. So here the right knee and the hip get back into flexion, 4 to 5. Whereas here, from 4 to 5, the hips just extend and slide. So remember, pushing up off the ground is really good, but you've got to get into the ground first. So from 4 to 5 is a feeling is you getting back into the ground, which is what we see here on the top right. 4 to 5, getting into the ground, flexing that lower body forward. It's not so much the thoracic that needs flexing with yourself, Luke, and the spine. It's the right knee and the pelvis. Good luck with it, and look forward to working with you again in the coming weeks. Well done.